Invert 9 in America takes us to the Firebird Motorsports Park, and yes, it's got a new name, but we expect the same crazy racing action across of Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing. And it's two championships, Spec class up first, and Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Joshua Lee, ready to walk you through all of the action. And Josh, this is the shortest track of them all across the season, and it sees us reach the halfway mark and head into the back half of the championship. Already drivers have seen 3 events come to a close, and 2 more motos here before a week off takes us into the 2 championship rounds that will see us crown a champion.
Of course, Bark River and Crandon are the 2 longest tracks, so we're going to go from the bull ring of Firebird into those last 2 massive race courses for the finales. But an off week after this one, Arjuna, I think these drivers are going to need it, especially for the Spec class. We have upwards of 26 Pro 2s that are about to go racing down into the very tight turn number 1. This track just so unique in the different ways that you can race around this course. Just getting off of the official schedule from last weekend, I raced a good amount of Pro 4s here. I was a little weary about the Pro 2s, but we're about to see a lot of drivers take on this course in Pro 2s tonight.
Yeah, let's talk first about the format, then we'll come back and talk about the trucks themselves, because and how it's going to navigate around the track, because 700 horsepower all through the 2 rear wheels, and in the Spec class, of course, it's a fixed setup, the open experienced drivers challenge to come up with a bit more of a setup to then dial into the track. And of course, across of our 2 motos, invert top 2 tonight, of course, of qualifying, and then the result for the first of the main events. That will be very, very interesting. But Josh, talk to us a little bit more about this track in particular, because you know, this look from up above, it doesn't tell the whole story.
It does not. That turn number 1 is very, very tight, and you might look at turns number 2 and 3 and say, well, they also look tight. Well, they also are. And I would even call turn number 4 a tight corner. Yes, you're going to drift around that corner, but you reach that apex a lot quicker than you think you're going to reach that apex. I mentioned it just coming off of the official calendar from last week. I did a good amount of racing in the Pro 4s, and I think the main takeaway trying to kind of relearn Firebird after taking a little bit of time off from the sim was you just have to throw it into every single corner. There is nothing you can do. You're not going to set up each corner by braking then turning. You have to start turning and hope the truck sticks by the time you reach the apex, because if it doesn't, you're just going to bleed speed.
Let's talk championship standings as well then, because already we've seen a bit of a margin build from Cody Retzlaff. It's that consistency that has seen him be able to storm his way to that significant championship advantage. It's not quite a race victory yet, Josh. However, Brent Smith and, more importantly, defending champion Crystal King, some work to do in this back half of the season. Just 6 races left to play out.
And a really, really good season so far from Brent Smith as well, walking away with a 2nd place last week. He's got a win, he's got a podium finish as well in 3rd a couple of weeks ago. But Cody Retzlaff just so consistent now, 2 wins down. He has not finished off the podium yet. If Smith or King or Mageshik or Nowak or Bennett for that matter, all being within a handful of points from each other, they're gonna need to get above Cody Retzlaff and soon.
Well, Josh, qualifying underway. Important qualifying, I feel like, as well, right? Because there's a few different ways to challenge yourself around this track, including the lines that we'll talk about, but maybe more importantly, because it's so packy, because it's going to be so helter-skelter, crazy racing action, if you're not up towards the front, well, you're going to be fighting in the mid-pack or down towards the back. 28 trucks out on track right now trying to set a qualifying time, and Alex Lachenesse 2,000ths quicker than Cody Retzlaff, the championship leader.
But focus on the 1 at Crystal King. She's on the invert pole, or almost on the invert pole. Sorry, we've had invert 3 the last couple of rounds. Tonight's invert number is 2. So Cody Retzlaff right now is sitting on that invert pole, but a great lap from Alex Lachenesse to get to the top of the leaderboard, 36.228 for him. But I wouldn't say, Arjuna, that this track, like Wild West, is one that is very tough to pass at. I'd say out of Crandon on Bark River, yes, you have more opportunities to pass there. It is relatively, I don't want to say easy, especially against some of these drivers, but you can set up passes a little bit easier. Of course, turn number 1 being very wide, you can go all the way down to the inside Jersey barrier. You can go all the way up top to the wall. That's pretty much the same thing in every single one of these corners. So if you're aggressive, you can make moves happen quick. I'm not saying I'd want to be in the boat of Quentin Johnson or Ian Fisher down in 25th and 26th. It's a lot of passing to do, but if you're Crystal King, Cameron Mageshik, Brent Smith, I wouldn't count any of them out as finishing on the top of the board tonight.
And I guess as well, because there are so many hairpins here, when you are fighting, if you can't straighten the truck up and get the power down through the rear wheels, you're always going to end up slowing yourself down. So it's something to keep in mind through all of the fighting, is how sideways these trucks end up getting. As to the line runs Tom Grady, who's about 0.3 off, about half a second, splits the top 15 as they run right now. It's pretty fine margins up and down through the field. Tom Grady, 2,000 slower than Austin Schreiber, 1,000th quicker than James Mensch. And, well, most of the drivers having finished up most of their actual qualifying laps. I think there's just a handful out there right now circulating for some race practice. There's Cameron McGijic, who's just crossed the line and finds himself done and dusted. Crystal King to the top of the board.
What a lap by Crystal King, 36.107. We talk about the Spec class being the fixed setup. We also talk about all these drivers being so close together in time. I mean, you have to go all the way down to 24th before you find the first driver that is over 1 second back from that lap that Crystal King just put down. But she has beaten second place Alex Lajeunesse by over 1/10. What a lap from the Factory Sim Sports Shenandoah Shine Pro 2.
And wow, that was a opportune time to do it as well, because now don't think there's really time for anyone out there to go and respond as the Gecko watches on. Rather creepy look, if we're being honest. But Josh, as the qualifying session draws to a close, we say hello to everyone on camera for the very first time. We're off next week, but 4 consecutive weeks to open up the season. What a crazy start we have seen.
A very crazy start that unfortunately I missed because I was off in the UAE doing my monster truck things. But now here for the last 3 rounds. And I think as far as Spec class goes, my main takeaway has been everybody is so close. I mean, other than the open class that we have later on tonight, Spec class has a lot of different podium drivers and a lot of different drivers that can finish on the podium that haven't yet. So we're ready to take a look at that starting grid, Arjuna. And after the invert, Alex Lajeunesse is going to end up on the pole for this first race.
For a moment, he thought he had done it on time. He'll start on the inverted front row with Crystal King, hoping to try and put the pressure onto Cody Retzlaff and Cameron McGijic on the second row. Bit of a throwback scheme theme for some of these drivers. We'll talk about that maybe over the course of the night. Bren Smith, that consistency sees him alongside of Nick Nowak on row 3. Remember, we've got 28 of these trucks, so many of them to run our way through. Austin Schreiber, Tom Grady, and then James Mensch, Trevor Teal, the top 10 with Austin McLaughlin and Pacey Wygant, your drivers that just missed out on the top 10 starting spot. Matt Bennett was very quick in qualifying at Wild West. He's back in 13th and alongside of Brock Smith with Dominic Berhout, Ryland Rogers, Wes Graham, Mikey Klein, and then on the edge of the top 20, Miles Morrison, Cole Fisher. It's Cody Harrelson, Brody Ducher, Bobby Blowers and Quentin Johnson, who are right at the tail end of the field alongside of Kenny Hoffman, Ian Fisher, Zach Clifton, and Banks Hovey. Some newcomers joining us for the very first time today. Oh, but it's still a big and stacked field of drivers ready to go as the pace truck peels them off for their formation lap.
28 trucks strong, and they're all going to start, and they're all going to dive into turn number 1. A little bit safer than I'd say 28 trucks at Crandon, Arjuna, with it being a 2x2 rolling start. But this is really the short track. It's almost the Bristol of off-road racing in the iRacing sim, because we're already going into turn number 2 just like that. Pace truck's going to be off, and we're going to go racing with Lajeunesse and King on the front row. Very high-speed straightaways, very quick corners. We're going to do lap times in about 30 seconds. This race is going to be fast and furious. It might be 14 laps on the docket for this first race and every other race we're going to see tonight. It's going to go by in a blink of an eye.
And I think by the end of it, no guarantee that Josh or myself will leave the virtual Firebird Motorsports Park with our voices. But pace truck off and away, and it's Alex Lajeunesse for the first time this season in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing, ready to see the green. What's going to happen? Already behind. There looked like a bit of a checkup, and away we go. McGijic out wide, and they stack up across the line in the midair. Oh, chaos for some. Brock Smith and Pacey Wygant getting mixed up, but here comes the challenge. Defending champion Crystal King looks to the inside and passes Alex Lajeunesse for out of turn number 2.
Wygant was on his sidewalls. There's still more incidents back in turn 2. Couple of trucks getting up on the Jersey barriers as the move for the race lead has been made again. Alex Lajeunesse back to the lead. Here comes King with a big send to the inside. Through 4, Shea pulls the slider, and Shea is going to lead lap number 1.
And they went 3 wide behind, and this is the intensity to expect. It's not going to disappear. Invert top 2 for the second of the motos, but that's really not the focus. 50 points for your race winner, and behind Alex Lajeunesse, your points leader, Cody Retzlaff, now trying to work, but he's got to keep an eye out Cameron McGidgick, we know how feisty he can be. And in his Vision Wheels machine, maybe looking to try and take advantage, but Racecraft to the inside, out through turn 3.
That was a big move for second place on Alex Lajeunesse. Racecraft gonna have the outside heading into turn 3 and 4. On the outside now goes Lajeunesse as he tried to protect that spot. Still making contact in for the second spot is the 21 to the inside. But Crystal King loving what she's seeing in the mirror, Arjuna. Now to the tune of 1 second, she's pulling away.
The problem with all of this great racing up towards the front is not only is there still great racing through the field, doesn't really give us a chance to go back in time and sequence our way through some replays. McGidgick, not cattywampus, but not going anywhere out of turn 2, slows himself down, loses a handful of spots, and Trevor Teal, Nitro Circus Sim Racing team manager, going to try and make a move. Nick Nowak in the AMX truck spins it around, watch the rejoin, gets it around just in the nick of time.
You can see just how chaotic 28 Pro 2s really on any track is, but especially on a track as short and as fast as Firebird Motorsports Park. Battle for the lead, not much changed, although Crystal King has gotten that spot on Alex Lajeunesse since the drop of the green flag. Still about 6/10 as there's the contact from Cody Racecraft trying to get by for Lajeunesse. Remember, Arjuna, this is not just for second place on the racetrack and for second place points. This is for the pole in race number 2 with the 2-spot invert.
And so how aggressive does Cody Racecraft want to be? One thing to keep in mind out of turn 3 into turn 4, those 3 bumps through the whoop section are all track limits that drivers have to keep in mind. You are not allowed to run around them. You've got to take the full punishment that they will give you. So as we complete now lap 4, I think we have started to calm things down, albeit slightly. Check back with the pack as they continue to cycle their way around. Plenty of fiberglass being shed as Cody Racecraft tries to make the move on Alex Lajeunesse. And did Brent Smith just jump over the 254?
Lajeunesse got turned by Racecraft. It was just a little bit too much contact going through turn 2. And yes, he did completely jump over him. It wasn't a perfect clearing. I think those rear tires did end up hitting the roof of the 254. But that is disappointment from Lajeunesse. Here's the replay. Racecraft to the inside. Some honestly much needed contact. Just kept it going for a little bit too long. And then here we go. Brent Smith right on over. Slams the back wheels on his lid though. I'd give it a solid 8.5. Still end up getting over him. Let's go on board. Oh, there's the contact.
Yeah, definite contact there, no question about it. And, well, that's the first replay we've been able to take a look at, and it's not without us missing more action. Wes the Mess, I mean, he's lost all of his front end on that truck. So there's fiberglass somewhere if you're around the virtual Firebird Motorsports Park. But now it's championship contenders running up front. 1, 2, and 3, maybe not in the order they run in the championship. King leads from Racecraft. Brent Smith not far behind. And, of course, 7 laps to go at the end of this one.
3 podiums so far this season for Crystal King. She did win the opening race of the opening round of the season at Bark River. Since then, she has gotten a 3rd and a 2nd place on the podium, but that's about all that Crystal King has gotten. This is our winner of race number 1 from last week, and 3rd place finisher in race 2, Cameron McGidgick, trying to work his way past Austin Schieber with the Nitro Circus Sim Racing team manager Trevor Teal behind this group. But McGidgick also trying to catch up in the points. He has 2 wins on the season, but a 26th and a 19th in the opening round at Park River. Arjuna at 253, still having to kind of dig out of a hole that he built himself to start the season.
And that's the problem with a short season, right? You don't get time to really fight your way back into contention. And so as see a couple of different lines being run there, always very interesting to examine what drivers are doing. This is the look at the green flag. Oh, and the 0-0 up and over, getting assisted in some ways by the 46.
Very, very easy to do, especially here at Wild Horse Pass. And when you have a pack like this, you're going double file up and over a very, very thin tabletop at the opening portion of this track. Very, very difficult to do side by side for that many rows deep. This is another incident. Right into the catch fence goes the 55. That is Cole Fisher that ended up mounting the Jersey barrier there. But back to the racetrack, McGidgick and Schieber still in a heated battle, and we see that transfer line, not exactly a transfer, but more of a invert line. Racecraft would be on the pole for race number 2 if they were to finish exactly how they are now.
Let's go back and keep an eye on what is happening. Some of those trucks still fighting their way on forward. Miles Moore started down in 19th. He's just in front of the green machine of Tom Grady, that 535, as they cycle back up towards turn 2. It's a very, very tight track and really not much quarter being given by anyone here. Big margin for your race leaders, and I'm sure at some point all of this great fighting, all it's going to do is drop them in closer and closer into the clutches of your leaders who are navigating their way around some lap traffic.
King is going to try and put a couple of lap trucks in between herself and Racecraft, but that's not going to be easy to do, especially with 4 laps to go. It's 5/10 separating the two right now. Racecraft is within striking distance. Now, it is going to be a risky strike, and it is going to be one that could end up in both of them being wrecked out, and he needs to figure out exactly the best spot to do it, but this gap for Crystal King is anything but safe. If she can try and stretch it out a couple more tenths, I'd be a little bit more confident in her keeping this lead, but we know how aggressive Cody Racecraft can get.
So, we've got 4 laps to go. They've all spilled into each other just as the leaders are ready to come around. That's 4 wide. Yes, your eyes don't deceive you. And a truck going up and over might be Cody Harrelson. Which way does King go? Chooses the right direction. Racecraft not going to force the issue down to turn 3. But this is a craziness. Contact. King gets sent up the track. Not quite cattywampus. Racecraft loses the front end. Was that the moment for the lead to potentially change hands?
I think it was Racecraft's moment, but it was a mistake from King that ended up with her keeping the lead. I think she might have hit the handbrake a little bit too much, as Austin Schieber is going to have to retire from this one. Might have been contact with Brent Smith, but nonetheless, King did make a mistake. She slid that rear end out too much. Going through turn 3, ended up making contact with Racecraft. That's where his hood went, but it got King straightened out, put her on the right line over the triple whoops section, and ended up keeping her the lead. But Racecraft isn't done. King goes wide. Racecraft's going for the lead. White flag in the air this time.
And just a reminder, still plenty of racing that these leaders, championship contenders, may find themselves stumbling across, and amidst all of it, Brent Smith's closed. So that's something to keep in mind. Yes, these two will get inverted around, but Smith could be there, and they've still got some more work to do. These are short laps and how this race has flown on by. We got 3 more races to come here on Dirt Night on RaceSpotTV, so stick around. Just one more corner, though, for Crystal King to navigate her way through. Gonna carve through the traffic. Cody Racecraft gonna try and take advantage. Oh, 2-wheel drive gonna mean Racecraft slides the rear end out and gives King the victory, who crashes in midair and still wins by 0.2 of a second. 0.003 of a second, never mind. Excuse me.
Have you ever sideways in the air coming over the finish line? King wins it. Racecraft's going to be on the pole for race 2 after a second place. He keeps up his podium streak, by the way. And Brent Smith walking away with another podium as well. Have you ever, Arjuna?
Sorry. Trying to save my voice right now. Oh my goodness. Oh my heavens. You know the closest ever championship, off-road championship series race, Josh, at Bark River?
I remember.
Oh, at least that one was to be expected. This one came out of the blue. Have you ever indeed? We'll grab a look at the provisional race results. Race control probably to take a look at plenty of the incidents and to deem their verdict across the board and hand out some post-race penalties. But Crystal King, 3/1000ths of a second. Clear of Team Rogue's Cody Racecraft, but end of the day, championship still very much swinging in the favor of Racecraft. Brent Smith grabs another podium in the 906 Dirt Machine with Cameron McGidgick, and then Trevor Teal, the rest of your top 5, and big margin back to Nick Nowak, 12 odd seconds in 6th, with Miles Morse, Alex Lajeunesse, Dominic Berhout, and Austin McLaughlin, the rest of the top 10. Wow, only 7 more cars scored on the leading lap. So Tom Grady, Pacey Wygant, Rylan Rogers, Prody Ducher, Bobby Blowers, Kenny Hoffman, and Wes Graham just about hold on. And then 1 lap down for Ian Fisher, Cole Fisher, and Brock Smith, just to name a few. 2 laps down for Johnson and Harrelson, 3 laps for Schreiber and Bennett, and then 4 for Mensch, Clifton, and Klein. Banks Hovey, who joins us for the very first time, his very first league race, the Nitro Circus athlete, unfortunately, I think did a few more flips and whatnot in his truck than anticipated, and he finishes 9 laps adrift. Wow. Take a break. Take a breather. We'll be right back here on RaceSpotTV with Moto 2 in Racecraft Off-Road powered by Next Level Racing. A close finish in Moto 1 for Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing in its Spec Championship. Well, let's see if those expectations hold true for Moto 2, live here in a couple of moments' time. Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Josh Lee. And Josh, we've commentated on plenty in the world of sim racing in a short course, but that was something special.
Sideways from Crystal King coming across the finish line, finished on the sidewalls of her tires, not on the treads themselves. RaceSpotTV was 3/1000ths away from the win. How close is he going to be from the win in race number 2? Are we going to ever see a finish like that again? Well, we have 3 more races tonight to see if we do.
I mean, I've commentated in 4 years on more than some 1,200 odd broadcasts. I've commentated on some photo finishes. I don't think I've ever commentated on something quite like that in a championship where the drivers are as strong as they are here. Let's head down trackside though. Once again, 28 trucks locked and loaded and ready to do battle. It will be Cody RaceSpotTV and Crystal King inverted on the front row, ready to get the green flag dropped, with Brent Smith and Cameron McGidgick behind them on row 2. Trevor Teal and Nick Nowak 5th and 6th with respectable finishes in the first race of the night, starting in front of Miles Morris and Alex Lachaness. It'll be Dominic Berhout and Austin McLaughlin on the edge of the top 10, with Tom Grady and Pacey Wigan 11th and 12th. It'll be 13th for Ryland Rogers and Brody Duchère 13th and 14th. Bobby Blowers and Kenny Hoffman alongside of one another, with Wes Graham and Ian Fisher sharing row 9. It's row 10 for Cole Fisher and Brock Smith. Then we get to those that finished, well, 2 laps down, unfortunately. Quentin Johnson and Cody Harrelson behind the top 20, with Austin Schreiber, Matt Bennett, and then James Mensch, Zach Clifton, Mikey Klein, and Banks Hovey. Your 28 trucks ready to do battle once again. And, well, if there's anyone that I'm envious of, it's those drivers on the front row, because, boy, we saw plenty of fighting in the mid-pack in Moto 1. Moto 2 going to be no different.
And Arjuna, they're going to start exactly how they started race number 1. King on the outside of the front row and RaceSpotTV on the inside of the front row. Anything can happen. I think we just learned that again, that anything can happen throughout this field. If I'm one of the drivers in the back of the field, midfield on back, I'm thinking just don't hit me. I'm thinking just try and get through safely. Up front, though, it is anybody's guess who is going to walk away with the win. King was fast, so was RaceSpotTV. One piece of contact, one hood gone, one spin, one mistake from either of them. They're going to have some very fast drivers right up their rear view mirror.
And so pace truck off and away, and let's get set. This is going to be good. And it's the championship contenders up front and ready to do battle. It will be RaceSpotTV in control of the field. What can King do on the outside with that number 1 on her shoulder? Ready to race at Firebird Motorsports Park. Let's get those fireworks set off. And here comes Brent Smith to the inside, challenging for the lead and leaving Crystal King with nowhere to go. No change for the top 2. McGidgick now around the outside and trying to try and slide his way to the front. Fiberglass flying behind, running to turn 3 though. McGidgick sideways in the air. What a crazy start from Brent Smith, giving it his best.
And King's keeping the aggression going. It's exactly what she did in race number 1. She didn't get the pass done exactly where she did, but look at the aggression to the outside. The big block from RaceSpotTV. Send spinning. The hood of Crystal King flying in turn 4, but King wants that race lead. She's gonna keep the aggression on and keep the flame going. Exactly what she had in race number 1.
What a start that was, electric. And from here, can those top two break away while still fighting? By no means are they giving each other an easy bearing of things. Oh, Brent Smith a little bit cattywampus on the landing. You saw him zigzag one way, then the other. La Jeunesse, big shove there as one of the fiberglass bonnets goes flying, and La Jeunesse bleeds a couple more positions as they cycle out through the whoop section. Lap 2 comes to a close. Cody Retzlaff 5/10 already clear. If he's given some clean air, we know he can run away.
That's exactly what he's got right now, but that gap is not safe. 7/10 is that gap right now. King might have had a little bit of a mistake going through the dip there on the run down into turn 2. And King's got more things to worry about out of her rear view mirror with Brent Smith, Cameron McGeshik, Trevor Teal is in that group as well. There's a solid amount of competitors sitting in this one line as we go on board with McGeshik going to the inside now of Brent Smith through turn 4. Not enough momentum, not enough drive in those rear wheels. He'll stay P4.
And this is why I love the beauty of the onboard camera, right? Because not only are we seeing the car camera giving us a good perspective of weight transfer and everything, but the wheel movements, we can see how McGishik's trying to move the car around. Oh, that's moving Brent Smith out of the way though, and then he rejoins directly into the path of the oncoming traffic. So suboptimal all around, I think, in that situation, but just top one more thing up for race control to take a look at. Front of the field though, out of the whoops, it's going to be 1.2 odd seconds between Retzlaff and Crystal King. Has your race leader, the championship leader, been given the buffer he was looking for?
I think it's exactly what he was looking for, and I think he's been kind of giving it on his silver platter. I mean, King was aggressive to start. It's what she needed to do. It's what she did in race number 1, and I think King, when she was in the lead, other than the couple of times that Retzlaff had some swipes, and when Crystal King started flipping coming across the line, Retzlaff could not hold a candle to her. I mean, he was catching and kept the rate of the gap at a solid point, but was not able to pass her on track. This is what Retzlaff needed to get this win, and unless King can make something happen, unless Retzlaff makes a mistake, I think it's going to be this group of drivers finishing pretty much exactly how they are at the front. As we see a couple more drivers fighting closer back as they come across the line. That's Alex La Jeunesse, who qualified on the pole tonight.
Yep, and well, two trucks fighting with no fiberglass at the front of their machines as 00 takes advantage and slides its way on through and then gets a big old shove from Nick Nowak in the AMX machine directly behind, but all's fair in love and war. Contact mid-air as well. La Jeunesse is going to hold on momentarily. This is the true battleground, though. The mid-pack. Nowak almost gets absolutely shoved from Grady. Just about holds on. We'll jump back, though, on board with McGishik, because you'll see how the race lead is starting to spread itself out. Retzlaff stretching clear. McGishik closing up to the number 1.
Through turn 2, you can see the throw into the corner, and he did that almost perfectly. He didn't slide the back end out too much. He kept the momentum spinning in these wheels. Something that we talk about within the Pro 4s that is also important is keeping the momentum up in the wheels, keeping the wheels spinning, not over spinning to the point where you're basically spinning the tires like you would on asphalt, but you're keeping momentum powering through the truck. Even more important in these Pro 2s. With no drive in the front wheels, you've only got drive in the rear wheels. Basically, if you take both feet off the pedals, or if you take your foot completely off the throttle, you're just on the brake, you're going to be digging out of the corner. That's not what you want to do. You want to keep power into both. You want to keep the throttle moving, keep those back tires spinning as much as you can without overspinning them into these corners, sliding the rear end back out.
And McGishik lands the front end almost directly in off those whoop sections. The difference with the Pro 4s and Pro 2s, it's quite pronounced, of course, but some people prefer the Pro 4s, some prefer the Pro 2s. Josh Edmondson, of course, the Pro 2 Open champion, defending champion. He's one that very much does like these Pro 2s, wishes the Off-Road Championship Series that iRacing used to hold would have been in these machines as we work on to the 9th lap of 14. It's calmed down slightly, at least up towards the front, since Cody Retzlaff started to open up his advantage. It's going to be 2 seconds or so at the end of this lap, with only 3 minutes or so left for us in this race. We've got 2 more motos to come in that Open Championship. with the likes of Connor Barry, Zachary Drapkin. I can see them already in the zoom, ready to get going. Cam Peterson as well, as McGishik out wide, really trying to put the pressure on. Let's check back in, though, with some of those trucks still fighting through the field.
Taking a look at Rylan Rogers, Bobby Blowers as we go on board with the number 34. Wide entry into turn one, a very wide entry. He tried to get to the inside of Rylan Rogers, couldn't get there by the edge of the corner. Does he go forward again in two? The 31 takes the defensive line, and they both slide out too much, and the 31 is going to end up on the apron of that corner and taking out some banners on the side of the racetrack as we move back up the road to that battle for second place, and McGeshik still keeping that gap the same. You're on board with the one at King, defending from P2.
And this is where we talk about the nature of the two-wheel drive. Get the car straight, get the power down, out through turn two, down into the braking zone of three. Switchback maybe coming as they run down towards the final corner. Lap traffic in front of them getting a little bit out of sorts. Just look at the car squat down on the right rear as well through the long right-hander. You can tell how much control these drivers having to feed in at all times. So your leader's broken away. There's no question about that. Cody Retzlaff looks set to grab victory here in Moto 2 in Event 4. We've got a week off after this, Josh, and a week that Cody Retzlaff's going to take, probably enjoy, and then come back for those final two rounds at our longer tracks, Bark River, then Crandon, looking to try and wrap up the championship before we even get to the big house.
Keep in mind, those first two opening rounds at Bark River and Crandon as McGeshik makes a mistake over the whoops. McGeshik is around. He's going to lose the spot to Trevor Teal, put Teal onto the podium, put Miles Morse up to P4 for the moment as they go side by side now. But McGeshik with a rare mistake, honestly, over the whoops. The back tires almost slammed that last whoop, and it slammed it a little bit too hard, and he ended up going around that whoop section. You can't treat it like a jump. It is whoops like you would see in Supercross. You have to take it one at a time, not necessarily jumping them, just kind of rolling over them. It was not how McGeshik needed to take that, and you could see him doing almost the same thing, just ends up a little bit better off.
We talked about it, what was it, a couple of laps ago in seeing how his front end almost plowed into the dirt itself, but as Brent Smith and Miles Morse come to blows, it's going to allow Nick Nowak and company to cycle on through as the white flag officially out. It's been a rough and tumble race. We knew it was going to be at a track that's only 0.7 miles long. Staying out of all the trouble, though, and grabbing a double podium and adding another victory to his name, extending his championship advantage to now more than a race victory. It's Cody Retzlaff in the Team Rogue 21. A throwback livery for him and a victory in the fourth round and the second moto of the night.
Put another victory down on the stat book for Cody Retzlaff, and he keeps the momentum going on every single time he has hit the racetrack this season. He has walked away with a podium. How about Trevor Teal, though, Arjuna? He walks away with his second podium finish of the season here at Firebird Motorsports Park, and honestly one that I think he was looking for. Not many better finishes for him so far this season.
And well, as the checkered flag officially stops flying in the air, Barney the flagman not having to stand out there for that long and test his stamina. Let's take a look at those race results and then grab a chat with our at least moto winners, hopefully, a couple more potentially. It's Cody Retzlaff and then Crystal King, 1 and 2, and continuing just to be up towards the front with Trevor Teal, Cameron McGishik, and then Nick Nowak, the rest of your top 5. A little bit further down to find the PBR Racing entry of Pacey Wygant with Brent Smith, Dominic Berhout, and then Miles Morse and Mikey Klein, your top 10. 11th for Matt Bennick with Alex Lachine-Ness, Bobby Blowers, Brock Smith, and Cody Harrelson, all scored within around 30 seconds of the leader. Rylan Rogers and then Austin Schreiber, Wes Graham, and Tom Grady. Final car scored on your lead lap. Austin McLaughlin 1 lap down in 20th position. Cole Fisher, Ian Fisher, and then Banks Hovey at least finishing this race down in 23rd before you get to the used car lot. Quinton Johnson, Kenny Hoffman, Zach Clifton, Brody Ducher, and James Mensch. Well, an opportunity for us to run down through the race results. Let's see if we can catch up with our race winners as well. And standing by with Crystal King, Josh Lee gets ready to chat with the first driver of the night.
Well, Crystal King, it was kind of a redemption round for you, I feel. Double podiums, a first and a second place. Talking about race number 1, we saw you at the start of that one be really, really aggressive, get that lead and not look back. Was that the strategy from your perspective, was get the lead early and just kind of drive out of your rear view mirror instead of the windshield?
For sure. This track is very unforgiving, and your best bet is to just get out front as soon as you can and not have to deal with much battling, because it can be a split second and your truck's turned around.
We saw you try that same strategy, be aggressive early in race number 2, but it ended up with Cody Retzlaff pulling away in that one. Going forward, Bark River and Crandon, you're still in that points battle with Retzlaff. Is it still at the forefront of your mind through Bark River and Crandon, or is it going to be the final 2 rounds of the season? You're just looking to continue the good momentum and finish on the podium in all of them?
Yeah, that second race didn't really turn out that well. I wasn't trying to be that aggressive. I came in a little too hot in turn 2, and I actually ended up damaging my truck. And every time I went through the whoops, I just felt it getting worse. So I was kind of just hanging on for that one. And moving forward for the next 2 rounds, I'm hoping I can just stay out of trouble. I got some bad cards dealt to me at Crandon, and that's my favorite track. So I'd like to hopefully at least be able to get some podiums, and if not, fight for the win in Crandon. I love that track.
Well, congratulations on the podiums tonight. We'll be looking forward to seeing you at Bark River and Crandon in 2 weeks' time when we finish the schedule. Crystal, congratulations on your win tonight and second place finish in race 2.
Thanks. Shout out to my team, Racecraft and Shenandoah Shine, and thanks for putting on the broadcast, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Well, Gina, great to hear from Crystal King, who walks away with another double podium night for her. And looks like you're standing by with Cody Retzlaff, who won race number 2 and keeps his streak going of nothing but podiums this year.
And by my championship math, I think has extended that margin to more than a race victory. Cody, how are you feeling right now, given that, we've got a week off after this, 2 more rounds to go, and you're in control of the championship with 2 longer tracks left to come?
I'm feeling pretty good. The next 2 tracks are actually my favorite, so yeah, I just kind of focused on getting as many points as I could in the beginning of the season, and then be able to go for more wins towards the end there without having to worry.
It's interesting you say those next 2 tracks are your favorite as well, right? Because we had them at the start. These 2 middle rounds were kind of the ones where we knew the championship would be set up, going back to the familiar venues. Was this a race where very much you needed to qualify well, stay out of trouble in Moto 1, and then just, again, have a good finish in Moto 2, rack up the points? Have you been thinking about this a little bit more from a championship mentality and keeping yourself up towards the front at all times this season?
I have. In the past seasons with the Pro 4, I wasn't too great at qualifying, so I really focused on getting my qualifying up there for this Pro 2, and it just works out for me.
Cody, thanks for the chat, and congratulations on another great round, a second place and a win to boot, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time when we return and make our way to the championship showdown.
Yep, thanks guys.
Cody Retzlaff joining us, and one more chat with the, I'm sure, delighted Nitro Circus team manager of Trevor Teal, who grabs a podium amidst all of the chaos in Moto 2. Trevor, how are you feeling about how this season's gone as a whole? Been very, very good for you, I think.
Yeah, it's been pretty decent. You just got to stay out of the chaos, which, I mean, we have like 30 trucks every race, so that's a little hard to do. But, I mean, we're just out there having fun more than anything.
What were the vibes like here at Firebird? Because for me and Josh, I think we're going to probably almost lose our voice by the time we finish the next 2 races we've got left. How sweaty are you right now?
I'm burning up. It's like 95 degrees out in Washington State right now, so I'm not used to it. And yeah, we definitely don't have that pickle suit on today.
I was going to say, it sounds like the wrong day for that, but congratulations on 3rd, Trevor. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time, of course, a week off before we make our way to Bark River.
Right on. Thank you, guys. I just want to give a big thanks to Nitro Circus Sim Racing, Racecraft TV, all the guys at Next Level Racing, Banksy. He just did his first race tonight, so glad to see him out there. And yeah, you guys for the broadcast. Can't thank you all enough.
And as Ian Fisher says, Trevor Teal, the number 72 machine, but the number 1 in Ian's heart. Over to the rolling hills of Michigan, though, next time out, July 10th. Yes, we have a week off. We are not racing next Wednesday, which is a good thing, because I'd be in a plane. And I'd have to try and commentate from the plane, because I'm not Josh. I'm going to make sure I'm here for every round this season, especially Josh, because I love Bark River, the site of the closest ever finish in Off-Road Championship Series history.
Okay, now I don't know what slander we got going on here now, but I won't be on a plane. I will be in Wales though, so a little bit, I'll be on the ground at least. But for round 5 at Park River, right now for the Spec Class Championship, it's got to be Crystal King trying to do all she can. It's got to be forcing Retzlaff into a mistake. It's got to be hoping Retzlaff makes a mistake. I mean, right now he has been nothing but almost perfect the entire season. They just got to be hoping and praying and doing all that they can on the racetrack that's not taking the points lead to try and take the points lead.
And then we have the land rush insanity. There is no other way to describe it. When we are 10 wide, 3 rows deep as we were in the Spec class in that final round of the season, all bets are off. That is going to be very, very interesting. Can't wait for it. But we've still got 2 more races left to come here on RaceSpotTV from the newly renamed and minted Firebird Motorsports Park. We'll be right back with action in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing and its Open Championship. Don't go anywhere. The Gecko's wondering what more can we see here at the newly minted Firebird Motorsports Park, but in Racecraft Off-Road powered by Next Level Racing. We know we're about to see the best in the biz lock horns and do a dance on the dirt. Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Joshua Lee. And Josh, we've already seen, well, 2 great races, 2 more great races with less trucks on track, though maybe less chaos to be expected as we get ready to go.
And this Open Class Championship has been a lot different than the Spec Class. I mean, yes, it's less competitors, but it's been competitors that have been really, really close in both skill level and in speed. Compared to the Spec Class, the Open Class is exactly what it is. It is open setup. They can do whatever they want with their trucks as long as it passes the iRacing tech inspection. On that same flip coin, though, Arjuna, That is the only difference really between a lot of their speed is the setup that they have on their truck. So it's been a lot of Connor Berry, it's been a lot of Keaton Swain, but a lot of Josh Edmondson, a lot of what we have seen in the past as well. But with the unrestricted setups here in the open class and all the experienced racers that we've got in here, 17 trucks strong, it's just been a different story, but it's been an exciting one.
We always know when it comes to the setup, it goes in both ways. You can make it good, you can make it bad. They've all at the front been able to make it good for the most part, and so you have, 34 points that split the top 4, and only 5 points back to find another 2 machines. So really, it's still anyone's game, and there's no race winning margin from first to second in this Open Championship. But it is Barry that leads over the defending champion Josh Edmondson, and Cam Peterson has started to climb his way and march his way up into contention, as has the Sim Coach's factory sim sport machine of Keaton Swain. End of the day though, 3 rounds left to go, half the season done and dusted. Josh, it's business time from here on forward.
Right now, Edmondson needs to do nothing but win. It has been 4 second-place finishes in a row. I'll repeat what I just said. 4 second-place finishes in a row. And he comes to the Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, newly renamed from Wild Horse Pass, but it is the exact same difficult track. Crystal King said it. This track is not forgiving. You cannot make any mistakes around this track or it will chew you up and spit you out. And somebody who rarely makes any mistakes, it's Connor Berry, who is sporting the Air Slayer STI paint scheme and shades of Travis Pastrana here on Off-Road Night on RaceSpotTV.
Yeah, loving the throwback night that we do have. What does Keenan Kusin have for us? Mr. Aero HD, who is doing a partial season at this point. We've seen him, I think, for half the round so far. In his Team Rick entry, clambers over the whoop section in the 03. You can see the hands at work to try and control those front tires and steer the car back towards the line. Currently 16th on the board and looking to try and find around 4/10 of a second. Improves in time, but not in position as the session comes to a close. Oh, what are we expecting though, Josh, with 4/10 covering the top 10 or so as they get ready to rumble?
Close in qualifying like normal. Connor Berry is going to be on the pole with the invert already with the starting grid. This is already turning into a very, very interesting start to this race. And how aggressive are they going to be entering turn number 1?
Well, let's head down trackside and see how they are going to line up, because qualifying done and dusted, it's time now to unleash them for the racing. Barry in the Nitro Circus sim racing machine, not just a new paint scheme, a new number style as well for him, is alongside of Swain in that 21, the factory sim sport entry. Cam Peterson, Nitro Circus sim racing, and Drake Mittag share row 2 with Zachary Drapkin in 5th alongside of the number 1 machine, defending champion Josh Edmondson in the 3rd of the Nitro Circus sim racing contingent inside of the front 3 rows. Cody Winicky and then Sean Winkler 7th and 8th with Connor Parisi and Cody Vanderveer 9th and 10th. Anthony James, Nathan Matoxin, they line up on row number 6 with Robbie Swan and James Burke behind them. Taylor Vandenbush, Keenan Kusin and Mike Budson, the rest of the 17 trucks that get ready to lock horns. Maybe slightly fewer in numbers in the Spec Class Championship, but however, that does not mean we're in for any less intense and strong competition out on track. It might just mean we've got a little less chaos and a little less lap traffic to deal with, Josh, over the course of the 14 laps ahead.
Same amount of time as the Spec class, but it is going to be a very, very different race. We saw aggression, especially from the drivers that were up in the front of the Spec class races. I think we're going to see a lot of the same as the Pimax VR headset is on for Cam Peterson. Can we take a look at another Pimax VR setup as well? These drivers rolling off now, getting ready to go. Vanderveer starts P10. He is one of the drivers that will be following in the mid-pack of this racetrack. Zachary Drapkin, notably no dog with him tonight. And Sean Winkler as well with the VR headset on. Still looking for you to have him work on a house for you. And Connor Berry will lead us to the green flag after the invert. These drivers, Arjuna, Connor Berry, all smiles, as I think he is in the best spot to win this first race. And he's got aggressive drivers behind him.
And the championship leader out front and looking to try and head into the off week. The spring in his step. What's he going to be able to do, though, as the pace truck peels off and away, and we're ready to go racing here at the Firebird Motorsports Park. It's Barry and Swain, two familiar foes up there on the front row. and their championship contenders behind them and ready to put the pressure on. Let's throw the green flag. Let's get the fireworks unleashed. And up and in the air across the line, we start the first lap of racing action. Inside, Cam Peterson defends from Drake Mittag in that TCR number 518, who around the outside uses the berm almost to speed himself up to turn 2, slides to the inside of Keaton Swain, and has third officially locked down the hill, challenges with the Sim Coaches Factory Sim Sport entry for second all as Connor Barry down out of turn 3 runs away with the race lead.
That's not what Keaton Swain wanted. That's not what Keaton Swain needed. All that contact with Mittag, and Peterson to the inside. The crossover move is going to take third place back away from the 518. Josh Edmondson, who was down behind the 8-ball in qualifying, qualified in 6th. He's now up to P5. It honestly wasn't as aggressive as I thought they would be in turn number 1, Arjuna. They kept it relatively clean up until turn 2, but everybody chasing down Connor Barry, who has already extended his lead to over 8/10.
You're right on board with Edmondson in 5th position as he makes a bit of contact with the 18 and Mittag. Maybe got a little bit cattywampus and sideways. Drapkin turned around as well. James mixed up. Oh, that's a huge one. And now separation builds. Barry breaks away. Swain in the rearview mirror watches as Peterson closes in behind. 3 cars at the front now broken away from those behind.
That problems in the back there. Just it looked like accordion effect, honestly, as we go up to the front of the field. It's Peterson in the left box. It's Connor Barry in the right box as we look at the battle for second place. There's that patriotic CBR Pro 2 of Connor Barry, who holds the race lead. Now Peterson is trying to get by Keaton Swain for the second position. Swain last week had a really great run, double podiums, his first podiums of the season and his first race win of the season, trying to keep that momentum up. But right now, seems like it's just going to be for second place. As we know, Arjuna, when you get Connor Barry out in front in clean air, he's almost unstoppable.
Same sort of situation we were just talking about, isn't it, with Cody Retzlaff not that long ago. Let's go over to the replay, though, and check out down into turn 3. Drapkin just behind all of that as Mittag initially the one that went around. Then James, you could see, got caught up in all of that too. Oh, and then 3 trucks coming together, not necessarily in the way that they would have envisioned, and a little bit more chaos after that. Let's check in, though, with Drake Mittag, who's dropped down the running order. What happened to him? Also, down at turn 3 once again.
Through 3 contact, and that's very weird. So I'll explain why that didn't really make a lot of sense in my brain when I just saw it, Arjuna. Because these aren't open wheel cars. When you talk about contact in an Indy car, Formula 1 car, sprint car, it's wheel on wheel contact. It almost just sends one of the cars off into the stratosphere. We don't talk about that with pro trucks. However, when the hoods get taken off, the front tires are open wheel. There's no fenders to protect, so that was an open wheel onto the back wheel, back end of Mittag's truck, and it sent him around. We haven't seen that since the new damage model got added with the hoods flying off.
He's just having a bad day. He's had now another incident, so I think that's 3 so far in Moto 1. Dropped down to 13, but Keenan Kusin has headed to pit lane, so is James Burke. It's just been that sort of day so far. Let's go back in the pack. Robbie Swan, Nathan Matoxin around the outside in that Just a Trim machine. Looks like Robbie Swan going to fail to make the move on the number 19. It's not far behind Cody Vanderveer and Connor Parisi. Of course, you've got those 3 leaders not far away from one another. A couple of different battle packs starting to build. I know, yeah, Vandenbush, Winicky, Winkler, Drapkin as well. Some of those got tangled up down at turn 3 a couple of laps ago. Not far behind this battle as Robbie Swan back to the inside.
They got tangled up, and they're still tangling up in the back of the field. But with Toxin side by side with Swain, they've got the spinning number 03, Keenan Kusin, in front of them through 4. And this is the battle that we just talked about with Vandenbush, Winkler. We're focusing right now on Vandenbush and the number 89. That's Winicky behind them, trying to keep up with this group, tail end of the top 10. But Matoxin and Swan still going at it as well as they work their way through turn 2.
So started off very clean, didn't it, on their opening lap as compared to the Spec Championship. But since then, fiberglass started to be thrown around. Toxin and Parisi holding each other very, very close as Drapkin now only 1.9 seconds away. And that red line, all 56, tries to close up by himself. Over to Peterson as Nitro Circus Sim Racing run 1, 3, and 4 right now. Cody Vanderveer then not far away from the additional Nitro Circus Sim Racing entry of Connor Parisi, but they've shown up ready to tango. Let's see what happens after this inverted top two. Let's not forget Keaton Swain will see the green flag first if he holds on to where he is. It's what Josh Edmondson's trying to rip away from him.
Peterson and Edmondson in a battle. We have seen this for so many seasons, so many years in iRacing Off-Road. We're seeing it almost again as Edmondson is 1.8 seconds back from who we're on board with right now. It's Keaton Swain and Cam Peterson into two. Peterson has been trying to work on Swain for pretty much since the drop of the green flag and just hasn't been able to get that move made, but making a move. Parisi on Vanderveer, or Vanderveer on Parisi, I should say. They're still side by side.
Great stuff. Both missing front ends on their trucks. Oh, Vanderveer in that Racecraft Academy number 59 almost mounts the inside curbs and the walls there, but able to avoid knocking them down, albeit at the expense of a little bit of time and track position. 4 laps to go, though. Drapkin now in front of Robbie Swan as that recovery drive continues in what is a 6-car battle pack with 2 minutes of racing left to go. And Drapkin on the outside out through turn 1. A slow adjusted trim machine rounding itself around the pit exit. Drapkin holds his nerve, holds on to 7th spot.
Diving their way into turn number 2 now as Drapkin, Swan, Winkler, they're still getting tangled up together. All of them losing off those hoods. Of course, we really only have seen this very, very recently, Arjuna. When the new damage model was introduced into these pro trucks, the iRacing developers really wanted them to break like they do in real life. That's why you see the body parts flapping in the wind. You see the parts that normally take the most beating, like we just saw from Keaton Swain. That hood getting pushed up when he landed, all very realistic flapping and movement from the body panels. You can see a lot of hoods flying off as well. There's a good look at the back left fender almost flying off of Cam Peterson, flapping in the wind.
So 2 laps left to go. Barry with the almost 3-second advantage. Swain still holding on to 2nd spot. And what has sort of settled into its rhythm. Remember, setup plays its part, but so does track evolution and progression, and how your setup interacts and interplays with all of that.
It'll be a white flag this time by with a 2.3, make a 2.6 second gap for Connor Berry up in front, and this is going to be one more lap for Peterson to try and get around Keaton Swain. Swain goes high, Peterson cuts low. Not enough though. He's still 1 inch almost back from the rear view mirror of the 21, side by side for a moment through turn 1 as Barry has taken the white flag as he enters turn 2. Just 2 more corners to go, 2 more opportunities for Peterson to walk away with a 2nd place and an invert pole.
And this is also important, right, because these are drivers fighting maybe not for the championship, but fighting maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the championship if Barry is going to run away up front. And well, speaking of running away, it's going to be another pump of the fist, another victory for a man that knows success here in the sim racing world. Connor Barry, winner of Moto 1 at the Firebird Motorsports Park. And let's see if he can do the double and do it all over again. Rest of the field streaks to the line. Swain holds off Peterson. Edmondson and Parisi make it 4 Nitro Circus sim racing machines inside of the top 5. Trevor Teal's going to have an even bigger smile after that one.
We talk about Cody Retzlaff in the Spec Class Championship having a really, really strong season so far, not getting off of the podium. Barry hasn't been that perfect, but only 1 race was off of the podium for Barry. It was his 12th place finish in race 2 at Crandon. It has been almost perfect for Connor Barry as well, and he's going to extend the points lead again against the rest of the field.
Well, as we wait for the results to officially be confirmed by iRacing, the drivers get their brief moment to just take a breath and to relax before they do it all over again. 14 more laps of crazy racing action. Mentioned though, Nitro Circus Sim Racing smiles on their face. 4 of the top 5 with Barry, Peterson, Edmondson and Parisi only really fighting with Keaton Swain all the way to the very end. Cody Vanderveer and Zachary Drapkin 6th and 7th, with Drapkin's recovery drive seeing him get past Vandenbush in the closing stages. Sean Winkler and Cody Winicky round out your top 10. Drake Mittag drops to 11 in a tough opening race of the night with Anthony James, Robbie Swan, and then Nathan Matoxin 1 lap down, Keenan Kusin 5 laps down. Not quite sure what happened to him in that 03 Team Rick entry. And then on the edge Racing's Mike Budson and James Burke, 17 trucks strong, finishing up on that results sheet. Well, we got one more race tonight to go, and boy, do we expect it to be full of surprises. Don't go anywhere here on RaceSpotTV. One final race to come on Dirt Night from Firebird Motorsports Park. One race down, one to go in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing and its Open Championship, before the break sees us head to the Championship Showdown. Our Junior Kanki Party alongside of Joshua Lee, already having seen one crazy race, ready to see what exactly race number 2 will have in store for us. And Josh, with fewer trucks, we did expect there to be less chaos at the start. After that, though, rough and tumble started to pick on up.
I was expecting a lot more aggression, I think, going into turn number 1 from the open guys than they really did. But I think we relearned exactly what the open class has been about, and that is the open setups. And that is the drivers that get out in front early, use that clean air, they use no traffic to their utmost advantage. If you're sitting further back from the front row, you gotta be aggressive on the opening lap or else you are not going to catch the leader. Everybody is so good, you can't let anybody get away with anything or you're gonna be behind the 8 ball.
And well, an 8 ball in terms of a championship that already a couple of drivers starting to slip out of contention for Sean Winkler and Drake Mittag. We talked about them being relatively close to the conversation. Their relative struggles in Moto 1 to those up front will see them maybe slide backwards in terms of championship equation. Keaton Swain and Connor Barry, though they'll flip around from how they finish. Swain will lead us to the green, Barry alongside, and then Cam Peterson, Josh Edmondson, and Connor Parisi, Cody Vanderveer, the rest of the top 6. 7th for Zachary Drapkin as he tries to charge his way back forward in the red line oil Racecraft number 56. Taylor Vandenbush is alongside him, with Sean Winkler and Cody Winicky 9th and 10th positions. Drake Mittag and Anthony James 11th and 12th, with Robbie Swan in that Racecraft 37 13th. Nathan Matoxin in another one of the Just a Trim entries alongside him, with Keenan Kusin, Mike Budson, and James Burke 17, ready to once again do battle. Just in the nick of time, we finish reading through the starting grid. They roll for their formation lap, and so it's time to get the expectations from the one, the only, Joshua Lee. Josh, 14 more laps, see us get ready for a bit of a break, and then 2 more rounds from Crandon and the Bark River International Raceway. This, in many ways, for Connor Barry, a race where staying out of trouble sees him hold on to a likely championship win, but that's not an easy task by any means.
There is still an opportunity for the drivers that are under Connor Barry to get that points lead. But honestly, where we're at right now, he's going to need to start making big mistakes. He's going to need to start really losing a lot of points. And I think you're the driver we're on board with right now, Josh Edmondson. If I'm Edmondson, I'm tired of finishing either off the podium or second place. I want to win. And right now is a really good opportunity for him to be aggressive here in the opening 2 corners.
And we saw Brent Smith in the Spec Championship go aggressive in Moto 2. How aggressive does Cam Peterson feel like going? Off and away we are from Moto 2 of the night from Firebird Motorsports Park. And around the outside, what can Slicky do? Connor Barry tries to make a move. Behind, there's going to be Anthony James sliding to the tail end of the field. Single file for your top 5 with no changes in and amongst them. It's Cody Vanderveer and Zachary Drapkin fighting for 6th and 7th spots as through turn 2. There's trouble. One car goes through the air. That's Vanderveer. Everyone else descends to turn 3.
There's a lot of trucks getting into a lot of problems through turn 2, but it seems like everybody gets through it relatively cleanly, of course, except for Vanderveer and except for Drapkin, who just had a mistake in turn 3. But at the front of the field, Connor Berry is in 2nd place. He's chasing down Keaton Swain. The gap is a little bit closer now to Peterson. He can try and make a move for the race lead. Edmondson sits in 4th, watching the top 3 almost pull away. This is the time the aggression needs to be at a crescendo. Here comes Berry to look for the race lead. Swain is going to try and make his number 21 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
2 points of position. That's the equation all these drivers are thinking about. Let's go back to the start. Check out first what happens to Cody Vanderveer as he's already a bit sideways and then pushed out wide. Drapkin got a piece of that action as well, and then down through the jump as he was already getting clattered up with a couple more. Oh, that's not going to end well. Contact with the 37. Robbie Swan, his teammate, but not intentional by any means. End of lap 2. It's Swain from Barry from Peterson up towards turn 2.
Swain still in the lead, and Barry starting to fall back just a little bit. We know how quick he is, so I'm not exactly worried just yet about what Barry, if Barry falls back a little bit too much. He's still got Peterson in his rearview mirror, but we know how aggressive Peterson can be, but also how patient the 48 can be. He really is one of the best drivers that letting the race come to him. He can capitalize on other people's mistakes and just really just buys his time very, very well as we go on board with Cody Weinecke from P6. Has Parisi in front of him. He's got Matag behind him as well. Top 7, put them all under a blanket. 4 seconds separating these drivers and relatively even intervals down the rest of the field.
How are we going to see separations build, though, as maybe some of these drivers start to look to try and make some moves? Comment in chat, Spec was more exciting. I mean, yeah, there was 28 trucks on track at a track that's only 0.7 miles long, so we basically had a truck stretched out and ready to cause chaos everywhere. These drivers are a bit more experienced, of course. It doesn't mean there hasn't been any lack of carnage so far, of course, as we've seen on the starts. And Drake Mittag's broken his TCR entry.
Does that count as commentator's curse? I know I just talked about him. I feel like his name mentioned him, though.
Hashtag blame Josh Lee.
Okay, fine, I'll take it. But with this battle up front, as we take a look at the Matag replay to see exactly what happened. Simple mistake? Yes. I just think I don't want to say he forgot to start turning for the corner, but it is difficult if you miss your spot, if you end up messing up your throttle and brake on entry. Very easy for these trucks just to go straight with a lack of power in the front wheels and a lot of power in the rear wheels. Very easy to go straight if you mess something up. But now back on board with Kim Peterson. Himax VR headset on. That gap has grown between himself and Connor Berry. But he's got to worry a little bit more about Edmondson behind at 0.8 at that gap.
Yeah, and you know, they all look so calm. They look quite relaxed, but as closing couple of laps, expect the chrome horns to be broken on out, the elbows to be shoved, and hopefully for some more excitement, Metoxin and Drapkin are fighting slightly further down through the field. But right now, the way the track continues to slick on off, of course the blue groove being laid down as well. Remember, because we do a couple more laps through each of these races than we do at the longer tracks, expect a bit more rubber to be burned into the surface itself. All these little things that drivers have to try and consider and think about when it comes to the setup. And like you mentioned as well, Josh, for example, down through turn 1, you're braking and turning before you actually get to the corner because there's a little bit of a hop, skip and a jump as you make your way over to turn 1.
That is a very, very difficult portion of the track as well, because we will follow Connor Berry and Keaton Swain in this battle for the lead as they work their way through turn 4. So you set up turn 4 and try and kind of take a low entry, slide your way up, but take a look right here. Wall of dirt just kind of pops up very, very quick. Almost reminds me of turn 2 at Darlington, coming off of turn 4 here at Firebird. Very easy to hit the wall. If you're kind of going wide through the middle and you cut inwards after the apex coming onto the front straightaway jump, it's very easy to also jump into the jersey barrier on the edge or even into the catch fence. So it's a portion of the racetrack that you have to be careful, especially if you're going side by side. It's very easy to end up into the catch fence or into the jersey barrier or sideways like we saw Crystal King a little bit earlier on tonight.
Yeah, good point. Couple of battles. Not for the lead just yet. Peterson feels the pressure from his Nitro Circus Sim Racing teammate as Josh Edmondson closes on him. Behind them, Connor Parisi, Cody Winicki, and then Taylor Vandenbush and Sean Winkler just inside of the top 10 with a bit more separation now starting to build. We'll have 4 laps to go at the line though, and if Connor Barry wants to have a chance to fight, well, now's the time to close because that Sim Coaches Factory Sim Sport number 21 it's looked pretty impervious so far today, and so tribute paint scheme for Connor Barry, paying tribute to the Air Slayer STI. Let's see if he can channel the spirit of Travis Pastrana and make this move happen with the 4 laps he's got left.
Digging his way through turn number 1 up on the outside. It's been relatively even for both of these drivers at the front. Swain has the best lap so far, 35.634. Barry's best lap, 35.667 last time by. Swain was about a 10th.5 faster than Barry in second place. Is contact made for P5. This is Winicki on Parisi. To the inside goes Winicki, side by side over the whoops. Does he do the crossover move in 4? He was in the air when he had to start turning for the corner. He still goes for it off the apex, but it's not going to be enough momentum to make that pass work. As we see a pass in the background, that's Vandenbush on Winkler for 7th.
Some great stuff, I've got to say. Even now that they've separated themselves out, we're seeing the skills from the drivers to be able to put these battles together. This for the 7th and 8th positions with Robbie Swan and Zachary Drapkin starting to close as well. Drapkin once again on a recovering quite well. Back over to 3rd. Peterson and Edmondson will come back around to the line and see 2 laps to go, as will your race leader Keaton Swain, whose margin to Connor Barry holding steady at about 0.8 of a second right now. Some traffic in front of them though. 2 more laps for Swain to hold on.
Swain still faster that time by the start-finish line. He is going to need Barry's going to need a mistake from the 21 if he wants to get this win. White flag this time by as they work their way through turn 3. We talked a lot in the Off-Road Championship Series, Arjuna. I just noticed this about the track. We talked a lot about the track state. A lot of rubber would get put into the track. It would dry out very quickly, become very slick very quickly. These Pro 2s with only 2 driving wheels don't put nearly as much rubber into the track. Track looks about the same as it was when we started this race, as Keaton Swain is on the white flag. Only 1 more time around for Barry to try and get this win, and it might be too little too late. 2 corners left.
And what a race it has been, of course. We've got a week off after this, but the championship is poised quite finely. It's poised in the hands of Connor Barry, a winner in Moto 1, and now putting the pressure onto Keaton Swain all the way to the very end. Swain, yes, will emerge on top, the winner of Moto 2 in Event 4 in the Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing Open Championship. But the journey for the championship's not done by any means. 2 races to go, and the big house to settle it all. What does Connor Barry still have to do to try and hold on? They finish alongside in the air, and Cody Winicki has gotten in front of Connor Parisi on the run to the checkered. What excitement at the end of this open class race.
Winicki is able to walk away with a top 5, but Arjuna, as Barney the Flagman furiously waves that checkered flag, going an awesome stat line that I can grab from the stat book in the last 2 races, or last 2 rounds at Wild West and Firebird. Connor Barry and Keaton Swain have traded invert pole positions and invert wins. 1st and a 3rd for Barry last week, a 3rd and a 1st for Swain, a 1st and a 2nd for Barry tonight, and a 2nd and a 1st for Swain. When they have inverted each other from a win or from a 3rd place, they have gotten the win. An awesome stat that I just picked up on, and a double 3rd place from Cam Peterson as well.
And, well, one thing that I've just realized, the streak may have come to an end for Josh Edmondson as well. No longer 2nd places in the last couple of races. But it says Keaton Swain, Connor Barry, and Cam Peterson finish on the podium. It's still Nitro Circus Sim Racing 2, 3, and 4 with Cody Winicki really taking some plaudits for that move to pass Parisi in the closing stages. It will be Vandenbush and then Winkler, Swan, and Drapkin your top 10. Down to 11th to find Nathan Matoxin with Keenan Kusin and James Burke also scored in the leading lap. 1 lap down, unfortunately, though, for Drake Mittag with Anthony James, Mike Budzin, and Cody Vanderveer. The rest of the results. Always great to be able to chat to the drivers. Wonder who we can dial up first in our post-race coverage. Let's start, well, with the winner of Moto 1, Connor Barry. He joins us now. Connor, oh, pretty decent round, all things considered, from your prospective championship lead heading into our break. 2 rounds left to go. Talk us through your emotions. Winner in Moto 2, second in Moto 2.
Yeah, it definitely was good. We qualified inside this second spot, which I was pumped on that, but I wish that we went and got first in that. But hey, we still got first inside the first one, and then we got a P2 inside the second one. So it definitely was a good points day. And definitely our speed is good. I feel I'm very confident in our speed that we can go out there and win. We've won, I think, now 50% of it, so it definitely is good. We just have to just keep being smart and smooth and just trying to get the wins. Our goal was to try and sweep this race. It definitely is a track that is my favorite, but we came up short, but that's fine because our speed's good and we extended the points lead. So yep, it was definitely a good night.
We've got our week off, and then we'll be back with 2 longer rounds. But of course, Crandon being the season finale, we've also got the lottery in some ways of the Land Rush Star. How important is it in your mind to get some good points on the board next time at Bark River to have some security in that final round of the championship?
It's gonna be big, that's for sure. I think our goal is just to go out there and get first. The first round there, we got a P2 and a first there, so our goal is just to go there and try to sweep it. If we can't, just go there and score some good points, because Crandon is going to be crazy. That start is hard there, and I've gotten the bad stick of it. So let's hope we do not get that again. But our goal is just to go in there with a pretty good points gap in case it does.
Connor, congratulations on the pretty decent run. I know you wanted a sweep, but 2 rounds to go, championship lead still in your hand. Can't ask for much more with a week off. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Sounds good.
Always great to catch up with Connor Barry. We'll now catch up, though, with Keaton Swain, winner in Moto 2, standing by with Joshua Lee.
Well, Keaton, for you walk away with your second race win on the season, but now 4 podiums in a row compared to the opening 2 rounds where you had no podiums in anything. What changed going into Wild West and Firebird tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely the opening rounds hurt me quite a bit as far as the points go. Just got caught up in some stuff and just making too many mistakes. But to come home with a second and a first tonight feels real good, especially qualifying first. Both races were decent. The first one just made way too many mistakes there and let Connor get away. And the second one, having the clean air definitely helps for sure.
Now moving forward, of course, it's still an uphill battle for you when it comes to the championship points, but Bark River and Crandon up next. We know those are driver favorite and fan favorite tracks. What are you looking forward to with just 2 rounds left in the Pro 2 season? Is the championship on your mind, or is it keeping up the streak of podiums? Is it still improving at Bark River and Crandon and improving on the finishes you had in the first 2 rounds?
Yeah, definitely. I think, just going out there and trying to win, that's all we can do. And, hope for some bad luck on the people in front of me in the points there, because this field's so close and it's going to take a mistake. And unfortunately, I had my mistakes in the first couple rounds. So anything's possible, though, at both Bark River or Crandon. Both very tricky between a Land Rush start at Crandon and then, a Pro 2 around Bark River. It's just a handful. So anything's possible. But, yeah, we're just going to try and keep doing what we're doing here, being on the box, and just hope we get a little luck going our way.
Well, congratulations on the podium streak now going for you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time when we go racing for the last 2 rounds.
Thanks. I just got to thank sim coaches, everyone at Factory Sim Sport for helping me out, and, putting in the practice laps and working on the setups, and of course everyone that helps Josh's league out, and you guys for doing the broadcast.
That was Keaton Swain, Arjuna, who continues to improve on his season, but only got 2 rounds left after the off week next week. Bark River and Crandon are the last 2 remaining.
Yeah, and I can't wait for what we've got ahead of us as well. As mentioned, yes, the week off, many of our drivers probably have some plans for the 4th of July weekend, so instead we let them go off and celebrate, and instead July 10th we reconvene and return to the rolling hills of Michigan, the big house to follow, and championships to be decided. Josh, 4 rounds have flown on past. We're going to miss the action next week, but Dirt Night on RaceSpot returns on July 10th. 2 rounds to go. I've got to ask you right here, right now, do you see anyone stopping Connor Barry in this open championship of Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing?
Not yet. I've yet to see Connor Barry put a foot wrong. If he does at Bark River, that could open the championship up wide open heading into Crandon. But Barry so far this season and every other season has been almost nothing short of perfect. We'll see what he can do at Bark River and Crandon. Maybe the week off will get into his head a little bit, but Connor Barry has been unstoppable in off-road the last 3 years. I don't think I see that changing anytime soon.
I think I agree with you on that one, and boy, have we been so excited to welcome back the dirt racing short course community to RaceSpotTV and see all of this action. Yes, we missed the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series this year. Doesn't mean we don't have to go without our great dirt racing action. For our team behind the scenes, though, and for Joshua Lee alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Enjoy the week off. Championship focus in 2 weeks' time when we get back to the racing action. But for us behind the scenes, for Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing, it's so long for now. We'll see you soon.